Hawks lose 5-1 to the Dallas Stars. It's their fourth loss in a row. They've been outscored 11-3 in those four losses. Let's talk about it next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. The Hawks lose 5-1 to the Dallas Stars, and correcting myself from the cold open, 11-3 in the last two games, not the last four. It is their fourth loss in a row, but the Hawks have been outscored 11-3 in their last two games against Buffalo and against Dallas. There is a real lot to get to in this one. We thank you for being with us on your Sunday night. This rainy, disgusting, grossest day of the year. Do us a favor, hit that like button from the comfort of your couch. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you. Make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. And if you feel fancy, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I don't know. Let's just start from the beginning, I guess, Mario. This was a fired up crowd. They were loud at the anthem, loud to the start of the game. The Hawks came out looking good, looking ready to play. They score first, and then all of a sudden, a little bit of, controversy, a little bit of difficulty hits them, and they just completely fall apart.
Yeah, I think Ben Pope noted this was, in the last two seasons, the highest crowd since the Chelios night. And
it felt like it.
It felt like it. Looking around the arena during the anthem, which Jim Cornelison felt like he had a little extra in there tonight, probably getting ready for Tuesday. But there was a good energy. There's a lot of people were ready to go in the stands from the start. The team had a really good jump in the first 6-7 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They get the opening goal of the game, continue to lead the league in that stat. And yeah, I mean, even going into the first intermission tied at 1, like, you didn't feel like it was, a game that was going in the wrong direction. From the Buffalo game to Saturday's practice to today's, messaging from Anders Sorensen at the morning skate, it was effort. Effort needs to be there.
Yeah.
The effort wasn't there. The S word we heard about on Friday night, not wanting to be said, don't say the team played soft, but they did against Buffalo.
Absolutely.
And Saturday's practice was trying to address the effort and the softness of the team. If we know anything about Anders Sorensen, we know that he likes his players firm. So they needed to firm up their game. Saturday's practice was about one-on-one battles, team battles, small area battles.
Yep.
And they seemed to get the message right out of the gate in this one. And then everything just derails in the second period. So many penalties. Bertuzzi gets the 5 in a game, and it just all flutters away.
Look, like, I remember Nick Foligno said this a while ago. Like, we have to get over the fact, like, teams are going to score against us. A goal cannot derail the game. And Dallas scores, late into the first period. Jamie Benn gets a goal. It's not anything crazy noteworthy. It was, it's just. The Hawks kill a penalty. Nick Foligno tries to poke it out. It only gets to center ice. Too many guys kind of left the ice too soon. So Murphy's back, and then a half-assed TJ Brody comes back and decides to skate a lap behind the net instead of trying to defend in front of the net. And they score, and it's 1-1. But it's fine. You're right there with them. You're playing fine. Like,
you're not out of it.
The Hawks were the better team in the first period. So then that happens. And then the Bertuzzi play happens, right? And he's ejected. We can talk about the legitimacy of that. It doesn't matter. It happened anyway. So the Stars get a 5-minute power play. They score right away. and all of a sudden it's 2-1, and they're done. They are toast. They've got no fight back, except Pat Maroon is trying to fight everybody. We'll get to him a little bit later in the show, too.
Buffalo, yeah.
It was just like, guys, it's okay to be down. Like, being down 1 goal at home is not being down 5 goals at home. And they went from shot out of a cannon to start the game, looking like the better of the two teams, controlling play, creating odd man rushes, killing penalties strong, and they just fall apart. They just fall apart. They're so fragile. And just like we talked about after the Buffalo game of the veterans you brought into this team should insulate you against soft games, they should also insulate you from falling apart when you're down 2-1.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You would have thought that would be the messaging there. I mean, it's the guys that were brought in, the guys that are already here. Like, there shouldn't be a surprise to these guys that you're going to trail in games. Like, that is this team. You're not a team that's expected to be front runners in anything. So you're going to be scored against, and you're going to have to overcome, lost leads, or you're going to have to fight back in games. Like, none of that should be a surprise, but I can understand the frustrations boiling over of how much they have to be in that situation, those situations where they have to, overcome those adversities. Some of them are just random chance. That's the
game
goal off
too.
of Wyatt, was it Johnston?
Yeah,
just bounced.
Who had no stick? It just hit him in the foot.
Well, Bedard slashed. That was going to be a
yeah.
penalty if that puck doesn't go in, anyways. But the stick gets slashed. Puck just happens to go back towards him. It goes off his skate and in. Like, that's going to happen. That's pinball hockey. That is, I feel like half the goals in the league are scored with some sort of random chance bounce or redirection or something like that. But it's the self-inflicted stuff that I think it just gets so frustrating, because you see the way that they came out of the game. They had a good first period, and you're like, all right, they've got something going here, and then penalties kill them. And sure, some of them bad calls, fine. You're going to get bad calls in a lot of games. But the self-inflicted stuff is it's just bad. It's missed defensive assignments. It's soft plays through the middle that get turned over. It's overpassing. It's just these self-inflicted things that, like, it just gets so frustrating, because it's things that are avoidable, and it's things that we're seeing in the game. So you have to imagine that these players and the coaching staff are going through all of these things in film sessions and going over things in practice. Like, it's not like we're seeing something that they're not, or vice versa. Like, it's things that are just are glaring on this team that just continue to happen.
Well,
and I just don't understand why some of these mistakes can
it's the same thing every
happen
night.
Every game, every
game.
other game. It just seems like we're talking about some of the same mistakes happening. It's just like, this team was third oldest in the league at one point. Now with injuries and call-ups and all that, it's probably a little bit younger now. But that should say that there's a lot of experience, and there's a lot of guys that should know what not to do to avoid these kind of things. And it just seems like it just continues to happen. You've had it under Luke Richardson, and now you're having it under Anders Sorensen. So again, it's like you have to look at the players and be like, what's the problem here, guys?
Well, you said it, and just kind of illustrating it again, not blaming him fully for this, of course, but you said during the game, like, how many times have we said during a game, Bedard, just shoot the puck? Just, you have an opportunity to shoot, stop spinning, stop turning, stop trying to feed it to, like, if you've got a lane, take it. You've got this generational shot, and he used it a few times tonight. In the first period, he shot a fucking piss missile that almost hit that almost decapitated Jake Ottinger.
Yeah, and
didn't really use it again. It's just so frustrating to watch.
Well,
the same. I feel like we do the same post game every show. Every show, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
not shooting the puck when the opportunity is there, trying to be too cute, trying to do too much, collapsing when they blow a lead, failing to make the simple plays. The Hawks had a power play. I lost track of which one it was. I can check my game notes in a second, but both Seth Jones had a puck roll to him in slow motion on the point. He was wide open, and it dribbled over his stick. Moments later, the Hawks had a more sustained zone time on the power play. A slow puck comes around the boards to Taylor Hall, and he fumbles it out of the zone. It's like, my God, I heard Ray Ferraro saying, oh, this is a young team, and you're really seeing the impact of having young defensemen. The guys making the mistakes today were mostly your veteran players. Mostly your vets. Yeah, like Frank Nazar had a bad read on a goal. Fine, I can live with that, right? I can live with those sort of things because
I'd rather live with teaching moments than veterans making the same mistakes.
But when it's these veterans who just the simplest play to make, they can't make it. And I don't know what it's going to take for TJ Brodie to get scratched. And I've tried to, give myself like, all right, well, maybe there's things the coaches are seeing that I'm not, or maybe they like his aggressiveness shooting the puck. He is a half-assed defender. It feels like he is on the ice every time something goes wrong, whether it ends up in the back of their net or not. That goal, the Ben goal, the first Stars goal of the game. Go watch that. Remember that old gif of Ovechkin, like the controller died?
Yeah, the controller died.
That's TJ Brodie. And there's 2 stars going to the net. Sarvel makes a great save to stop it at the goal line, made the split, stopped the first shot. And then Jamie Benn is there all alone, just whack away at the puck while TJ Brodie is circling behind the net.
Yep.
And how, they're the other one. I'm trying. There are so many freaking goals. I can't even keep track of them. It was the, let's see, the 5-1 goal where Wyatt Johnston navigates through Jones, Hall, and Donato, and TJ Brodie is just standing there watching it happen. Oh, here I am again, dead controller TJ Brodie. It's so aggravating.
I mean, you had Wyatt Kaiser brought back up today. Kevin Korchinski went down. There seems to be, Anders Sorensen likes Louis Crevier. You have Kaiser back. Alec Martinez has been skating the last few days. I'd imagine him and Craig Smith have been skating the last few days. I imagine both of them are trying to maybe feel as good as they can to get back and maybe not miss the opportunity to play in the Winter Classic. So you got Kaiser back. You have Martinez coming back soon. If not Tuesday, soon. I cannot see a way in which you can justify having Brodie still in the lineup. With Martinez coming back healthy, there is no way that he can continue playing. Like I at the beginning of the year when he was brought in as a free agent, had the 2-year deal, I was just like, you know what? He was dealing with some personal stuff in Toronto with his dad passing, and I was just like, all right, maybe that can have a big impact on professional athletes, way more than fans either care to give credit for or in what they know that a player is going through. But I talked to some people that watched him 82 times a year in Toronto and was just like, what's up with TJ Brodie? What can you expect from him? And the overwhelming majority basically was just like, he might be washed. And I was just like, all right, well, we'll see. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's washed. I don't see the version of him that I think Toronto signed him to or from when he was in Calgary and what the Blackhawks hoped he could be.
Yeah.
I cannot defensively put him back in the lineup until someone else looks bad, and then you say, okay, he's sat a few games, let's put him back in. Like, veteran or not, like, man, you can't. I really feel like you can't.
All right, we've got to hit the break zone. We're going to get to your super chats coming up next, and a lot more to get to, of course, on this game. We also got a little Jonathan Toews update we're going to get to at the end of the show. So stick with us. We'll tell you about the 4 stars of the game coming up in a bit here on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show.
You know who is always a star? It's our friends at Ray Chevrolet.
Matt Duchene.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, him too. and Jamie Benn. With 2025 right around the corner, right now is your chance to save big on your next vehicle. The model year-end sales event is going on right now at Ray Chevrolet. Head in today to shop their huge selection of new Chevy models with special model year-end prices. Right now, take 10 to 20% off of MSRP on select new Chevy models or shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Visit our partner this December at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've heard of Ray's Price Promise. They're guaranteed to make sure that your next vehicle is more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices we're talking about right now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. So shop the Chevy model year-end sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com.
Yes, do that. And as always, after a loss, we need to choose some chill. It's absolutely necessary.
Sure.
There are people melting down in the chat, which is understandable.
Yeah.
There's people melting down, leaving the United Center, which is understandable. But whenever you're feeling that way, you know what? Choose chill and choose a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. You know that by now. When those mountains turn blue on your Coors Light bottle or can, it is as cold as the Rockies. So when you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. And the best part is you don't even have to go out. You can just hit up Instacart right now and get some Coors Light delivered straight to your door by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. All right, Sarah, let's get to these super chats here real
friends
quick.
From the What Chaos.
Yeah, What Chaos is here. You
podcast
guys just want to do the rest of our show?
Yeah. Do you?
I mean,
nice.
seriously. That was horrible.
God.
It was
We'd like to
horrible.
remind you folks, well, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
All right, $5 from TD Burns says, this is probably the worst 2 games I've seen in my 34 years as a season ticket holder.
My goodness.
Give me Goal Gutman so we can at least have fun going forward. Okay. Let's put a pin in that. We'll get back to it.
I mean, sure.
Okay. Brandon, as always, jumping in with a $5 super chat. We always thank you, Brandon. Jones awful. Brody Pressbox. Send Nazar back to the Hogs. Reichel deserves a top 6 playing time. Call up Gutman and Doc. Kaiser should play at the Winter Classic. Okay, and then there was a comment, Sarah, from C. Huck I wanted to get to. It wasn't a super chat, but it was there, C-Huck. We'll get it for you. There it is. Why are the Hawks keeping Brody in and sending Korchinski down and crew? So we've got this funny thing happening on the chat where now all of a sudden Frank Nazar is terrible. Mm-hmm. They never should have called up Nazar in the first place. He's overmatched. Why'd they send Korchinski down? Call up Cole Gutman. He's going to fix all. It is just the roller coaster.
The Cole Gutman stuff is funny.
It's just it's the roller coaster of emotions that we're going through. Guys, if you're drawing any conclusion on any of these prospects this early into their careers, just stop. Again, a really good reminder to choose chill, okay?
Sure.
Do that because if you're going to live and die with every shift of a 20-year-old hockey player's career, it's going to be rough. And Lebowski 5 says it too. Call up Gutman. Cole Gutman is going to fix nothing on this team.
No.
What are we talking about here?
No, Cole Gutman doesn't fix anything. It's just
we've seen him here.
Yeah, and there's a reason he's still in Rockford. He's a fine player for the Ice Hogs, and he's doing great for them in the role that he's being asked to do. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like we talked about. I think during the watch along of the Sabres game of people questioning picking Oliver Moore and just like, man, like,
yeah, because he didn't score in the game
he's
against
playing
Germany.
third line center for Team USA at the World Junior Championships. Must be a bust if he's one of the best top 9 players that are under 20 years old in America right now. Yeah, I just like I think where we're at with the Blackhawks as a wide ranging space, organizationally, fan base, you know, the way that this team had some expectations to not be this ass this season.
Yes.
I think it's all kind of like coming to a head of like it can feel to people that there's no direction for the team. And as much as it's crazy that there are people that say like the Blackhawks have no future, I can see where someone is looking at it and their thought process is influenced by, one, the landscape of Chicago sports.
But the Bears are not the Hawks, or not the Cubs, or not the Sox, or not the
But two,
Bulls.
also seeing like, okay, well, Bedard's here. Why aren't they better? And like they brought in veterans to make Bedard better and the Blackhawks better, and they're not. So all the veterans stink. And why are there no other young players up here helping Bedard? All the young players must not be good enough to be here yet. So I can understand why people have that kind of like, you know, I don't want to call it uninformed, but it is. But it's just like, shouldn't there be success instantly? And I think it's a case where like the instant gratification and being, you know, conditioned to expecting, you know, winning hockey with young guys and wanting the rebuild to be short, and you tanked for Bedard and you got him, so boom, rebuild's over. Like,
yeah, it doesn't work that way.
It's not really going to work that way, and there needs to be a lot of patience, and it's worn thin. You've fired a coach, you've got players that you've traded having success on other teams and in other systems and other situations that are more conducive to winning right now than it ever would have been with them in Chicago. And I can understand why fans would be, you know, on that roller coaster and thinking that like everything is crap with this organization. I can understand it, but I think you have to really have that like the patience and the bird's eye view of things and the understanding that it's just like, and you've made this point a lot, getting Bedard within the rebuild is a latter half of the stage,
ideally
shortener,
yes,
not a instant road to success and contention. Like it takes more than that. Same thing with the Bears. Like you got Caleb Williams, you got to have the team around him.
Oh, that's just horrible coaching
to bring him some success. And yeah, you got weapons around him, but offensive line's terrible. So with Bedard, it's just like, yeah, there's some guys around him that can help him, but everything needs to work for him to be as successful as people are expecting him to be the generational talent, to be a 100-point guy at 19 years old. He's not right now. And can he be a 70-point guy right now? I think he's trending in that direction. The people saying like, oh, his production is crap. It's just like, look at all the, you know, the stats in franchise.
Compares historically, he's right where he needs to be.
Yeah, historically, even within the franchise, only Eddie Olczyk and Bobby Hull and Patrick Kane as teenagers have done more than Connor Bedard has as teenagers playing for the Blackhawks. Eddie Olczyk, Patrick Kane, and Bobby Hull. Like, if he's in that conversation, he's doing just fine.
Yeah.
So,
well, also, like, to your point, if Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews had been drafted before the arrival of Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook and before the Patrick Sharp trade and before Martin Havlat was here, like, it would have looked very similar. Like, Kane and or Toews together could not have taken that team to the next level. It took all those depth players that have been developing in the system. Nicholas Hjalmarsson, another one that have been developing in the system for years and years and years. And then you hit the jackpot and you get Hall of Famers back to back who are ready to go right away. Yeah. Right? Like, that's just that. It just worked out ideally for the Hawks in the timing.
Toews took a year. He was drafted and then went back to North Dakota.
That's right. Yes, yeah. Toews did not come out right away. Exactly. Him and Kane came out the same year. Like but it just timed out perfectly for the Blackhawks where, okay, your defensive core is ready to go. Then you also hit big. Like, Dustin Byfuglien was way more than you expected. He was drafted and around you that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you had been building and building and building, and then you get those two guys. Yeah, ideally Bedard would have been late, but do you not want him? Do you guys not want Connor Bedard? Like someone in the chat said, well, they missed out on Celebrini. Well, they're not going to win the draft lottery every year. It's not like Celebrini was there and they didn't take him.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
They were right there.
Just think of your frustration, right? Your frustration right now is, yes, Connor Bedard had a bad game. I think Connor Bedard would be the first person to admit that to you, despite scoring a goal. It was a pretty bad all-around game for him. 0-7 from the dot, 6 giveaways, -4. Bad game for Connor Bedard. There's no doubt about it. But for the most part,
the goal.
Yes, the people you're upset about are not, aside from Seth Jones, which happens every game, are not here for the long term. I see people upset with TJ Brody. Well, he's here next year. If they don't buy him out, I think they're going to buy him out. Pat Maroon might not be here next month. Taylor Hall might not be here next month. Right? Like the guys who really, really stood out as negatives in this game are not part of the long-term future of this team. And people want us to bag on Seth Jones today. I think we've mentioned him a lot. Another not a great game for him. But, like, you can come in here ranting and raving about Seth Jones every game. You're going to be doing it for 5 more years. So just spare yourself the agony and just live with what he is. He's not an elite number 1 defenseman. He's not. On a good team, he's probably an ideal number 3. But he's here. He's going to play. He helps you a lot more than he hurts you on most occasions. So, I don't know. I want everyone to zoom out and, drawing conclusions on Nazar, drawing conclusions on any of these young guys. It's crazy right now. And I saw someone earlier in the chat say that 0 prospects have been developed. I mean, Alex Vlasic looks pretty good. Yeah. Everyone's screaming for Lucas Reichel all of a sudden to be on the top 6. Right? Like it's that kind of stuff I try not to even entertain because it's just willful ignorance. I mean, you have a kid in Minnesota right now that looks to be the favorite to be the Hobey Baker winner in college hockey in Sam Renzel. Like that's a guy that we were like, oh, maybe in 4 years he might sniff professional hockey. He could play this year maybe.
And he might be playing in April.
Like one of those Frank Nazar 3-game call-ups.
So it's that's stuff that I'm just like, okay, have that opinion. Come back next year and have that same opinion when there's more young players that are on this roster that are improving, when there's more guys in Rockford that are improving. It's
also important to acknowledge that most people aren't as dug in on the Blackhawks as we are. So I can see how the general sports fan looks at the Blackhawks. We see this a lot on social media. Like, look at the state of Chicago sports, the Bears and the Sox and the Hawks and the Bulls. Like, the Hawks aren't in that.
Well, and from what I saw on social media and some people saying it in Discord and in the chat and stuff, ESPN was ragging on that too during the broadcast.
Well, that's low-hanging fruit, and that's what they do.
Right.
I mean, God forbid there's a video breakdown going on. God forbid you show me the too many men on the ice. Like, I was so frustrated watching this broadcast. It actually showed at the end of the game, there were some, video illustrations of, like, where Frank Nazar blew an assignment. Don't break it down, though. Just show us the graphic for half a second with arrows showing Frank Nazar going the wrong way. Give me a breakdown.
Yeah.
But no, it's never about that. It's about the narratives. It's about telling the Chicago sports are bad. Look at this graphic about how bad Chicago sports are. We get it. Talk about the team.
Yeah.
Talk about the team. I don't know. And I don't know. That just, it bothers me. I just wish that and I'll say this too, it's not just hockey. Like, as awful as that Bears game was last weekend, that narrative was established before the game started. It, like, you knew what the talking points were going to be regardless of the outcome of that game. And it's lazy, and it shows how little respect that they have for you as an audience. It's frustrating. You should be frustrated as a consumer about that as well.
Got some post-game quotes that should be wonderful to get into.
Yeah, let's get to those after we hit the break zone here on CHGO Blackhawks. But we've been telling you about our friends at Sunnyside for quite a long time. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. So whether you are new, whether you are experienced, whatever your cannabis game is, they've got you covered at Sunnyside. They've got everything you need to elevate your life. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary. They've got locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North, and the suburbs, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. And like I said, if you're just getting started, you're a little bit, nervous about going into a dispensary. You don't want to feel out of place. You don't want to feel like a noob. Don't worry. They're going to help you out. They'll show you around some of their favorite brands. Mindy's, Good News. Those are my two favorites. But they've got Cresco, High Supply, Flora, Cal Wonder, Remedy. It goes on and on. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
Hey, if you want to put any money down on teams, I would say maybe not any Chicago teams. But if you want to do it with our friends at Circa Sportsbook. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season, whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa has it all. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older, and if you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I know we got a couple more super chats we got to get to as well.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
TD Burns says, okay, y'all, Gutman isn't a career player. We all know it, but he's one of the only ones we've seen who never gives up. He is fun. That's all we want. Okay. Joey with $5 super chat says, Jay is so mad at the Hawks that he hasn't even yelled at us to like the video yet. Yes, I have, actually. And please hit the like button for us. We'd appreciate that. We got our What Chaos guys here in the other room recording something. So in their honor, let's do a like spike in 3, 2, 1. Spike that like button for us. And then another super chat from Edward First, who's here all the time, says, my frustration is that the team seems to be on a downward trajectory instead of upwards, just like the Bears. So yes, the NHL roster is currently on a downward trajectory. There's no doubt. The last 2 games have been really bad.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, they just finished a 3-game winning streak for the first time this season at home.
Yeah, what a streak it was.
But it was there. And a week ago, a lot of people were feeling very positive about the things happening around the Hawks. They liked the system change that Sorensen brought in. Yeah. The team was playing with new life. Connor Bedard looked better than he's looked all year. I think that still stands despite tonight's effort. Like, things have been better. Yes, the last 2 are awful. There's no denying it. I wonder if part of this is looking ahead to the Winter Classic, the distractions of all that.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't want to make excuses, but in a rebuild, riding the roller coaster is a great way to drive yourself insane.
Well, what's super frustrating is, and we go back to the end of the year press conference last year, what Seth Jones said, what Nick Foligno said, what Kyle Davidson said about, finishing last cannot be acceptable anymore, wanting to be more competitive. Foligno and Jones probably bending Kyle Davidson's ear about like, hey, here's maybe some veteran guys that we maybe would like you guys to maybe contact this summer and see what they would be interested in, and all that. And here we are with Nick Foligno having not a great year, Seth Jones having not a great year. Kyle Davidson's free agents they've for the most part not panned out. And you're in a situation where you fired Luke Richardson. You have the best odds at drafting first overall, which is, according to the GM, not acceptable. So where do you go from here? You're not rushing kids to the NHL. NHL, not Russian. You're not rushing the guys up. You're allowing them to develop in Rockford. Frank Nazar is up here, but I mean, 2 weeks ago we were saying like he's clearly showing the signs in Rockford that he's got it at the AHL level. Like now let's move him up to the NHL level. Korchinski, even though he got sent down, the games that 9 games he played here looked, for the most part of those 9 games, much better than he did last year. That's an improvement. Now he goes back down, gets an opportunity to continue to work and progress. Nolan Allen's been here all year, and he's looked pretty decent for being 21, 22 years old, and playing mostly like third pair minutes and everything. Like that's completely fine for him at this stage of the game. So the young guys have been doing kind of exactly what they've needed to with this group. I can't necessarily point to a young guy and say like, he's been a big disappointment, because even Lucas Reichel, I had very low expectations for him this season.
He looked really good today.
And he's been better this year. Now, is he lighting up the score sheet? No. I was having this conversation today with Ben and Charlie at the morning skate about Reichel, and just kind of like, it's so odd that you can watch him play. He's playing with confidence. He's playing with speed. He's doing well with zone entries. He was playing on penalty kill today, getting that opportunity. And you're like, wow, like he really had a lot of jump in the game, and it looked like, he was engaged and making things happen. Then you go to the score sheet and you're like, oh, he kind of barely showed up. So it's that matching of like eye test and then, the analytics behind everything. Yep. But for him, like he is looking way better than he did last year. And I think that's a big thing. And Bedard is doing very well. Despite the outside noise, he's doing very well. So the young guys are pulling their weight. It's the veterans. And it is that is not what's keeping the Blackhawks on that trajectory of being like, hey, like the expectations were higher this year. The bar was set higher and we're not reaching it. And it's these veterans that are not pulling the weight for what they should be doing. And it really is inexcusable.
Well, Lucas Reichel is one of our 4-star nominees, along with Ilya Mikheyev and Teuvo Teravainen. Get your votes in now, and we'll reveal the winner at the end of the show. Landon says, I thought Reichel played a great game. I wish he would get rewarded on the score sheet for his effort and tenacity. He had an opportunity where a rebound came right to him. The net was wide open. He shot it, and it hit a Dallas Star in the ankle. It was like the worst puck luck I've ever seen. He shot it right away. He elevated it off the ice. It just so happened that there was a ankle in the way of the shot, or he would have scored. He's getting penalty kill time. Yeah. I do think it's a matter of time until he's on the top 6. I know that the Maroon and Reichel thing is working. I know they have a personal connection too, which can't really be. I know like no one wants to talk about that stuff, but the off-ice stuff matters too, and I think that's a big part of why Pat Maroon's here.
That's good to have.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because you're seeing Reichel look so much more confident. And even when someone like Pat Maroon is not contributing on the ice, not scoring, and maybe he's frustrating you with some dumbass penalties, he is at least helping Lucas Reichel take that step in his career. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any denying the connection that those guys have together. So, I don't know. I'm just kind of ready to see how it looks. And when Sorensen was asked yesterday, like, why did you keep these lines together after getting pasted by the Sabres? He said, sometimes you got to let guys just learn from their mistakes and carry out. Like, there just can't be a punishment every game.
I'd rather that than the constant switching that we were seeing from Luke Richardson.
Yeah. But I wonder if there's an opportunity. I don't think Bertuzzi better not get suspended for that hit. It would shock me if he did. Plus, you'd have to miss a Winter Classic, which would suck for him.
No, I don't think that would be.
But I don't know. I would be looking for opportunities to get Reichel up there. And I do like that when the Hawks have an offensive zone face-off and Reichel and Maroon out there, that Bedard is out there with those two just to get Bedard more ice time. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see at some point here, and it'll probably come after the trade deadline, which makes sense.
Yeah,
an extended look for Reichel and Bedard together.
Yeah, I mean, as we were kind of talking about, like, Maroon may not be here for much longer this season. Taylor Hall might not be here for much longer this season. I don't know what they do with Ryan Donato. I'm in favor of bringing him back on a short-term deal.
Yep.
both to reward him for what he's done on the ice this year and also give him a little bit of security in his career. He's jumped around so much. I think that would be a nice nod from the team. But I think with moving pieces, I think you're going to see those opportunities in the lineup open up for a guy like Reichel and open up for guys in Rockford to eventually come up later in the year for an undisclosed amount of time, because I think Rockford still probably wants to have those young guys push for the postseason in the AHL, but we'll see. So yeah, I think there's going to be opportunities for those young guys. It's just I'm in the boat too. It's kind of like the holiday season. Like you go through like Thanksgiving and you really look forward to it.
Best day of the year.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a very good precursor to all of the Christmas and holiday season, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of those that lead up through December. Then you have New Year's, and yes, it's an overrated holiday, but it's something to celebrate.
It's an extra day off.
Yeah. And then you get past like New Year's Day, and then you look at January 2nd and January 3rd, and you're like, oh God, there's still 3 more months of cold, dark crap ahead of us.
Oh my God.
I feel like that's what we're kind of like in for after the Winter Classic, is like we're going to wake up on New Year's Day and be like, all right, when's trade deadline day? Like, and I don't think there's really a need for Kyle Davidson to wait until March 7th or 8th, whatever day it is, to be making phone calls and gauging the temperature on some of these guys on expiring deals and everything. But I think once we get past the pomp and circumstance of the Winter Classic, really the only thing that I'm going to be looking forward to is that trade deadline day and seeing how this roster gets changed between now and then, and who's getting opportunities to get more playing time or get their first look in the NHL this year. Like that's going to be kind of what you watch for.
Hey, we got a lot of people watching, especially after a loss. We appreciate that. We got over 300 people watching right now.
Thank you.
But just over 100 likes. So please hit that like button for us if you're just coming in. It really helps push us up in the algorithm, get more attention so more Hawks fans can find us. And the more Hawks fans we get, the better for us. So please, please, please just do us a favor and hit that like button for us. Buddy, I
want to get to post-game comments?
Yeah, let's do that, because I'm just so tired of having the same talks all the time.
Yeah, and
I really am.
Yeah, that would and not to sidetrack from the game, but I jumping in the Discord here a little bit more than I have been. I'll point the thumb that I haven't been doing that as much.
Me too. I got to be better about that.
But I do want to address something that was going on in the Discord. I know we get cyclical on discussions, and Twitter and social media can get cyclical in discussions and stuff. Some stuff going on in the Discord. This is for diehards and stuff. I do want to make sure that you guys are, realizing that we're all still part of the same community, and try not to like really get after each other in things. And I know discussions can get cyclical, but let's like I'll leave it at that. Like let's keep that in perspective and know that everyone's in there to have fun and be jovial. So let's keep that mentality.
I also just
there in the Discord.
I think it's important to remind people that this is a sport.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Fever Pitch, starring Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore.
Once.
Okay.
I don't remember it.
Well,
I do know
there's
I
a
have
scene
seen it.
where, so the movie is about, for those that haven't seen it, it's
Spoiler
adapted
alert.
from a book, but the movie's about the Red Sox World Series team, and Jimmy Fallon is like an obsessed Red Sox fan, wild man, season ticket holder for decades, whatever.
Oh, I'm thinking of Never Been Kissed.
Okay. Yeah, this is different. So the Red Sox are down 3-0 in a World Series. Jimmy Fallon is, super depressed. Him and his season ticket holder buddies go out to a bar after the game. They're miserable, and they see 3 of the Red Sox players like just sitting there having dinner and like laughing. And he has this realization that, you know what, like this is just a game. Like it is just, it's not the end of the world. It's not life or death. And I know the term fan is short for fanatic, and I get that, but Taylor Hall is going home to his new baby today, right? Like Ryan Donato, same. Connor Murphy, same. It's like I don't know. I think we lose track of and I know no one wants to hear that today, but I think we lose track of like the human element of this sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think that can also happen a little bit in the Discord when you just see an avatar or a name of someone you disagree with frequently.
Well, and on social media too.
And social media, of course. Yeah, it's just take a deep breath. Remember that you're dealing with people, and try to just keep that in mind. All right, let's get some post-game quotes here.
All right, these are from Ben Pope. Teuvo Teravainen, as one of the most eloquent speakers in the Blackhawks locker room, talking about the Bertuzzi major penalty and game misconduct. Says, quote, "I don't know if I saw 5 minutes. That was a tough one. They get a goal, and the momentum starts shifting the other way. We lost a big player there, too, for the rest of the game. Sometimes it goes that way, but we've got to be better." Can't argue with that. And then also from Ben Pope, says, "I asked Anders Sorensen his thought process behind the Brody-Jones pairing. Quote, from Sorensen, we've liked Allen and Murph together, and we've liked Vlas and Krebs together. There it is. Ben followed it up. How did it go, the Jones and Brody pairing? Quote from Sorensen, could be better."
Yes, that is correct.
And from our friends at Hockey Stat Cards of the blue, purple, and green lines, the bottom 2 Blackhawks tonight in terms of game score, the worst, TJ Brody, second worst, Seth Jones. So that pairing is a product of your 5th and 6th defenseman and 3rd and 4th defenseman being better pairs than your top 2 guys tonight. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I
look, you and I are, I don't know if I think people would call us Seth Jones apologists. I think we're just Seth Jones realists. He's a very flawed defenseman.
Try to be.
But he is the second best defenseman on his team, and he's going to be here. But he was terrible. Like, he was awful.
He was bad.
And TJ Brody's no help. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. When I saw that those two were going to, I walked in the locker because it's an optional skate today. So now everyone was there. When I walked into the locker room and looked up on the lineup board and I saw Brody Jones, I just stopped in my tracks. And I was just like, really?
Yeah.
And oof. I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. And it went as expected. No, if you had any expectations that it was going to be better than that tonight, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I think I said it to you within the first 30 seconds of the game. Like, oh God, Jones and Brody, and you said, I don't think this is going to last all 60.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did, but I'm surprisingly, but yeah, I mean, it just, I don't think you can go back to that. Even, let's say, even if Alec Martinez is not healthy and ready to go for Tuesday. You cannot put Jones and Brody together. I know I just said, I like when they let lines and pairings kind of marinate and see what you either do or do not have. I don't think you have anything with that pair. I really don't. So you got to figure it out. Is it Vlasic and Jones? I don't think that's great for Alex Vlasic. I think it helps Seth Jones. Is it Allen and Jones? I would rather give that a try. Maybe you keep
Allen is at least defensively dependable, and he's going to give you effort all the time.
I'd be willing to try Nolan Allen with Seth Jones. That way you can, if you really love the length of Vlasic and Crevier working together, that's fine. Then you just try and bury Brody Murphy, or you know what? Go to Kaiser Murphy. Kaiser and Murphy have been paired together. I'd be fine with that. I don't know where you shoehorn TJ Brody in anymore this year.
Press box.
Sure.
Right behind us. We'll talk to him. We'll talk hockey with him. All right, we got to hit the break zone one last time. We'll reveal the 4-star, get some more super chats. And I've got a super hot take coming up next.
Oh, boy. For this? I'm so ready.
All right. Back with more in a moment. But Mario.
Yes.
It's been a couple days.
Sure
I want you to remember that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient.
You know, I wrote it down. I put it in a little piece of paper in my pants pocket. And I was like, you know what? When you get home, put this up on the fridge. You'll never forget. And sure enough, I put the pants right into the washing machine and washed that note right away. So please enlighten me again.
Well, final reminder, the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
35%? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is.
What do businesses have to do to get up to 35% in savings?
They need to sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
ComEd.com/biz. Okay, so why aren't more businesses doing that?
Because apparently the website is difficult to remember.
Really?
I guess.
ComEd.com/biz?
Easy enough.
Is it biz, B-I-Z?
It is.
Okay, well, that shouldn't be hard to forget.
I would, yeah.
Yeah,
seems pretty easy to me.
ComEd.com/biz. I can remember that. You know what? I'm going to write it down, and I'm not going to put it in my pants pocket.
I believe in you.
Terms
and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customer's energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
And hey, if you watched tonight's game, you didn't watch it on CHSN because it was on ESPN. But CHSN is the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox. CHSN is broadcasting more than 300 live games per year across those Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox teams, and features a full lineup of original Chicago-focused content. They are Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core, bringing it to every corner of Chicago, across Chicago's 77 neighborhoods.
Chicago.
And beyond Chicago.
Chicago.
And at CHSN, Chicago comes first.
Chicago.
Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Chicago White Sox games all season long.
All right. Super chats. Any more, Sarah? All right. Let's see. One more. Windy City Hockey for $2 says, I'm starting to feel like Tenorti is greater than Brody.
Oof. That
I need to not be as
like
upset.
That gif of the girl trying kombucha.
Yes. Yeah, let me marinate on that one, and maybe we'll discuss it tomorrow when I'm not so frustrated. All right, ready for my hot take?
I'm ready. Heat it up.
The Blackhawks need to recall somebody.
Uh-huh.
It is not Colton Dock.
Okay.
It is not Cole Gutman.
No.
It is not Ethan Del Mastro.
All right.
It is Samuel Savoie.
Ah, yes.
Samuel Savoie needs to come up here, run around like a bat out of hell, run into people, punch some people, piss some people off, get in front of some goalies, cause some havoc, and bring a little bit of mojo and swag onto this roster. Because you've got some swaggy young players like Frank Nazar, swaggy, Korchinski, swaggy.
Yeah.
They're there, but they're not swaggy if they're not scoring. Savoie is the dude that can come in here and you say, hey, just like Matt Nagy used to say, the last great Bears coach, be you. Go out there, run amok, be Andrew Shaw 2.0 minus the homophobia, and do your thing.
Yeah. You know,
and maybe it's 5 games, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 1, whatever it might be. I don't care.
Andrew Shaw.
Throwing my cap.
Ooh, throw your cap. Andrew Shaw, in his first professional season, played 38 games with the Ice Hogs before bursting onto the scene in the 2011-2012 season, playing 37 games at the NHL level.
And a much more effective NHLer than AHLer, oddly enough.
Fun fact, in 38 games in his rookie year in the AHL, 12 goals, 11 assists, 23 points. In 37 NHL games in his rookie year, 12 goals, 11 assists, 23 points. Interesting. Savoie has played, I was just looking at it, 29 AHL games for the Rockford Ice Hogs. So the timeline actually seems like it's getting close. Getting close to that timeline where he could actually keep lining up and keep being Andrew Shaw 2.0. We keep beating that comparison into the ground. But I mean, yeah, if you watch Savoie this weekend, he's a feisty guy. And he's more than just a guy that's gonna post whistle, scrum with people and get in there. Like he's produced some points.
He can play.
He's a good player. He can kill penalties. He can. He's been solid. He plays with speed, plays with tenacity. Like he's very. One of the things that I think I didn't really realize about his game, until he got to the AHL level this year, is like the speed at which he plays in through the neutral zone, and his zone entries have been great this year. And I know that that's like not like the biggest thing to like get excited about, but like when you have a player who plays like on the edge of, you know, that physicality and trying to muck it up with people, when you have a guy that can also like play with speed and play with the puck and be creative with it, that goes a long way. And as someone's bringing up Matt Rempe, like he is more rounded as a hockey player than Matt Rempe would be, and would bring something more than just, I'm just going to throw dangerous hits and fight people. Like
right.
He's got more than that.
Show.
Yeah, he's got more than that to his game. So I'm sure I am not against that idea whatsoever.
He's also one of the bigger Hawks forwards at 5'10". He's a towering.
Another reason he won't be.
He was a bulging man. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. I'm done talking about this game. Let's do the 4-star, Sarah, so we can talk about Jonathan Toews real quick. 4-star was Lucas Reichel.
Lucas Reichel, deservingly so.
My daughter is happy. She's thrilled. Lucas Reichel, 4-star of the game. All right. You got to read this, so I'm going to give you the floor. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but Jonathan Toews interviewed in GQ. Can you give us the 2-minute synopsis?
He went through some crazy stuff in his health journey to get to a point where he's starting to feel good about things. I highly recommend reading the interview that he did in GQ. I put it up on shared it on Twitter and Blue Sky and everything. Gets into the really gritty details of the process he went through going to India. Goes through like the schedule of his days in this program that he did. He details that, you know, one thing that he says that I don't think any of us knew. He said starting in 2009, when he was 21 years old, before he was ever a Stanley Cup champion, he was realizing like, hey, my body doesn't really cooperate with me all that much. And he was fighting against immune issues and digestive issues that he recalls back to 2009. So think about how long ago that was in Jonathan Toews' career, to the point of when it became like he hit the wall in February and March of 2020, and the shell of the player that he was in the bubble postseason, and not being able to hop over the boards and get on the ice with 2 minutes to go at the end of the playoffs. Like he talks about just his body, the stress, the pressure, being in the NHL, how to fuel it properly, all those things that he was just fighting against, and how he's, over the last few years since he's been away from the game, how the steps he's taken to unravel it. It's crazy. It's definitely some non-traditional paths, but I'm all for a guy finding a way to feeling better physically. And he also talks about the process that he went through is not just physical health, but emotional and mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big component of it too. Knowing people in my personal life that have gone through big, like, mental and emotional health journeys, and coming out on the other side, and the person that they could be, and the life that they could lead after that, like, it's a big deal. It's a bigger deal, I think, than people ever care to realize or admit. And basically at the end of the piece in GQ, the interviewer, whose name slips my memory right now, I'll look it up real quick, but basically asked, like, hey, so all of this, does it lead back to you playing in the NHL? Like, is that still something that you have in your goal? Matthew Robertson was the interviewer for GQ, and Toews, as we popped it up here, and basically says, like, it's something that he's not done with hockey. As much as we've been talking about, when he posts on Instagram and stuff like, oh man, he seems so far away from hockey. His mentality is he feels that he's in a physical and mental place now where he wants to give it one more shot. And he's not necessarily saying like, I'm banging down the doors of GMs and everything and saying like, give me a shot. Like, I think he's going to take it at his own pace, but it definitely feels like from what he says, and you can read the article for the full context of everything, but the door to him coming back to the NHL is not shut on his end of things.
I'd hate to see him on another team, but I'm rooting for the dude to be happy. Whatever it takes for him to be happy.
If he wants to get back and go out on his own terms and not have his body betray him to end his NHL career, I'm all for it. I think that would be an incredible story. So yeah, it's very interesting. Was not expecting to learn all that information tonight during the first intermission of the game, but reading through that, it was very interesting. So another wrinkle to the story of Jonathan Toews.
Yep. Lebowski 5 says, bring him back. Why not?
Sure. I don't care.
Veteran minimum.
Why not?
Finish off the year. Let's see what he's got. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow. Different time tomorrow. All the Winter Classic insanity begins tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to do a Winter Classic preview show at 12:30. 12:30 tomorrow. We're going to be back. Got some good stuff that we've gathered over the week. Actually, Media Day is tomorrow afternoon, so we won't have anything from tomorrow, obviously, but we got some stuff.
Pay attention to our socials.
Socials will be active.
Tossing out a ton of content tomorrow. Blackhawks practice at 3:30. There's a fun little media event starting around 7 where we have the opportunity to skate on the ice at Wrigley Field. Are you taking part?
I don't think they're renting skates.
No, but I
do not have my own.
Emma's going to do a day in the life segment tomorrow, so you can check out our socials, CHGO_sports.
Sweet,
nice. And then there's a media banquet and everything at the end of the night, and then Tuesday, big day.
And then Miggy says, is there a meetup for Tuesday? We got to get the lay of the land tomorrow.
We're gonna scope it out tomorrow.
And then I think if we do something, it will be kind of an unofficial meet us in Gallagher Way or meet us at the Fan Fest or whatever. But we don't have like a bar or anything like that where we're going to. Oddly enough, Wrigleyville on New Year's Eve. Not super excited about giving shows some space.
It's busy, I hear,
especially post game. So we will be on post game as quickly after the game as we can be. I think the plan for now is to do a show from the Cubs offices. So we're waiting to hear back on that any moment now. All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow at 12:30 for our Winter Classic preview. Thanks to Sarah for running the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.